It's got to have a hechsher on that. The dots, the whole thing. Right?
Heads with make it exactly that amount.
That's the whole idea.
Shimon Omer Atzari and Elisraf. Tzari is a sap, hanoitif me'atzi aktaf, that drips off the kataf tree. Bais Karshina, this Bais Karshina that we discussed, it's a type of soap. Shashafim bas tzipayin, it's used to scrub the tzipayin. Tzipayin, we said, was something that grew from the ground. Kadei sheina, so that it should be nice. Yen kafrisin, what about yen kafrisin? What about that? What was that used for? Shasharim bas tzipayin, it was soaked. The tzipayin was soaked in it. Kadei sheteyaza, so that it should be strong. And valay meiraglayim yafinla, but shouldn't meiraglayim is two opinions. Either it means urine or it means water from a place reglayim, or it's a location. So that should also make it strong. The like ammonia maybe or something. You can't bring that water into the mikdash. It sounds like it's urine. That's Messiah Leila Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. But this proves the view of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina that he says that the Keteris needs to be prepared in the mikdash. Otherwise, you'd be allowed to use meiraglayim outside. The way it's performed, the way it's brewed, is only in the kodesh, and that's why you can't use meiraglayim. Meisvei. That's an interesting question. We've learned things like this before. That if someone sanctifies his possessions, but in those possessions were things that were eligible to be brought as a sacrifice, community sacrifice, yinaslum b'scharan. Over here it says, usually we said that you sell them as sacrifices, but over here it says that you give it to the workers for their wages. Interesting. Hani dvar, temple workers, the people that were building different stuff. So hani dvarim haru'uya ma'niya. What are these things that we said that they're worthy, they're eligible to be brought? I behema b'chaya. If they're animals. It's interesting. It says chaya. Tanile. That we taught other places what to do with it. What do we say? It's supposed to be brought as a sacrifice, but then chaya doesn't fit in there.
I'm not getting this. The mikdash wasn't finished.
No, there was always maintenance. They always had to fix. All along the walls, the floors.
The cleaning crew to come in every night.
I like Rashi's comment on the Chaya. Lav dafka.
Rashi says?
Lav dafka. Not necessarily.
Right. I don't see that Rashi, but although
maybe it's Rashi somewhere else because it was.
Yeah.
The Kohanim walk with their bare feet.
Right.
So
you think it's the floor? It gets dirty.
And when they bring the animals to it, they're tied up or something.
There's anytime you use anything, it gets dirty.
Plus,
We need home maintenance.
so the building campaign keep going.
Right.
In the roof.
The building campaign. The what is there's a law. What's the law in physics that everything goes from organized to disorganized naturally? What is the rule? There's a word for it. In thermodynamics, there's a.
Dr. Stanley's law.
Basically, everything gets disorganized. If you leave it, it goes. It just.
Tovavo.
Right. Unless you keep maintaining it. So Tanale. If we're talking about that in there were wine and oil, lasses and flour, Tanale, that we were also taught. Ella Keteris, it must be that we're dealing with Keteris. Now what's happening here? This guy is making the Keteris at home, and we're saying that it's eligible to be brought to the temple. And we said, what do? You have to sell it you give it to the workers. No, so our question was, we said that the Keteris needs to be made in the temple. Here we're saying that it was made at home.
What I understand is how are the workers going to get paid from Keteris?
So what we were going to do is we were going to give it to them. First we were going to redeem it and then give it to them as their payment. And then, okay, we'll see. Rabbi says, we're talking about that really it was made by Kodesh. It was made and it was already given to the workers, as you'll see. The Tanya, Meiser Keteris. if there's extra Keteiros, Maha Yawaisimba, what would they do with it? Hayamafrishim and Eschar Umnim, they would separate payment to the workers, Machal Naisal Mois Umnim, and they would redeem it on the money from the workers, and then they would give it to the workers, and then they would buy it back from them for next year. Because every Nisan, they needed to buy it again from the shkolim that they collected in Adar. They would buy it again for the New Year's. It needed to be a New Year's,
So kind of like what you do with your taxes. You know, if you have a business, you make sure you have nothing left at the end of the year so that you don't pay taxes. And then, since you can't start off the year right, I mean, you have business, so then you go and the money you took out, you then loan to your business or some shit like that.
Everything he says is
I did not hear that.
What happens? It gets
recorded, so
deconsecrated,
my client is
and then gets consecrated again, and the temple
For the
treasury buys
next
it
year.
back.
Yeah, so it was a way of changing it from this year's to next year's.
It was in the coffee.
So Maskif Rabbi Yosef Habakula Maisis Tani Chayzin Relechna Mitruma Chadash Vachalai Tani. You're trying to say that this fellow that's consecrating his possessions and it's going to the temple, we're talking about that he was already paid, and that before the treasurer would come and buy it back, he consecrated it. And what's happening? It was made in the temple, it gets deconsecrated out, paid to him. It's supposed to be bought back, but before they buy it back, he consecrates it, all his possessions, and we find this
giving it to the temple.
Right.
By giving it to the temple. That's what he's doing. The problem is that it doesn't say in that Mishnah that they buy it back. In the first Mishnah, he makes it hekdesh, and we say we give it to the workers. They don't say they buy it back. So it looks like that Mishnah is a different story than the Mishnah we just quoted. What we're talking about over there is not that he brewed it already. He had in there things that were spices that could be used later. True, the brewing is only done in the temple. This fellow had in it some of the spices. 368 mana. That's how the Kereisos was made. 365 was corresponding to the days of the solar year. You have 3 left over from 365 to 368. That in that the Kohen Gadol takes 2 handfuls. On Yom Kippur, and the rest, what's left over after he takes those handfuls, because he doesn't get 3 saw out of that, he just takes 2 scoop. So that's given to the workers as their payment. Kiddatanya, Meiser Keteiros
That's 367. 365 and 2.
and 3.
You said 2.
2 handfuls, but that comes out of 3 saw.
Oh.
So what do you have after that? Because you're not going to get 3 saw. A saw is 144 eggs. So 3 saw
Why do
was
they
whatever.
change to 65 money? Why
should
didn't they
use
make
the-
it into bigger coin? Dinners and so on.
No, the mana is a big coin. Mana is one of the larger coins.
Potter, there's a pita,
Right.
there's
But mana is 100 dinarim, 100 zuz. It's a large coin.
6 money is what
A dinar. 6 ma could be a dinar, but then 100 dinar, a dinar and zuz is the same, is a mana. So it's a very large amount. So that's why we're using, because this is like a large measurement. So, what would they do with this? They would, the leftover Keteiros, they would pay the workers. Machal Naisal Maisam and then they would pay them. They would machal it and then pay them. And then they would buy it back for the following year. Taner Abanan. Start in the Bais on top of the page above. Meiser Keteiros. What's left over from the Keteiros, Achas Lashishim Elishivim Shanais Mefatim Leisalachatzayin. They were able to get half of a day's worth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How much they get paid?
No, they would be able to get what was left over would be enough for a morning. Over a lot of time, they would collect all of those the crumbs that were left, and they would get it. They would have half a portion of Keteiros. Therefore, because you can use half a day's worth, That's why if a yachid, an individual, brews half of it on his own, he's chayiv because you're not allowed to brew it, and that's a part that's significant. That's an amount that's significant. Divrei Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, Shamar Mishum Askan. That's what Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says in the name of the Skan. It was the second in command of the Kohen Gadol. Aval Shlisha Revi Alei Shamati, but I don't know if he makes a third or a quarter. I don't know what's going to be. Chacham say that every day you have to make a full amount. So therefore, if a yachid would only would make half, that's not good enough. He needs to make a full mana. Okay, Vayamachnas, and that's what they would bring it in. Messiah Leila Rava. This proves to what Rava says. Dama Rava, you have to take out the word Shemana Mishra, put in the word Kereisos. Rava says Kereisos shepitum lachatzayin chayiv. Kereisos that's brewed half is chayiv. The Kereisos shetasa. The Kereisos that's made kol shetasa, any way that it's made. After the of the pras b'shachos pras ben arbaim, you can make half. Pras means a half for the morning and half for the evening. Okay, Tanur Rabbanan, the rabbis taught.
Is it half or not half? So are you chayiv if you did half?
Yeah, according to Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, and according to Rava proves
even
it.
The
Kereisos is chayiv for half a day's worth. Tanur Rabbanan, the rabbis taught. Machzir noisel machteshes pamayim bashana. They would return it to the grinder twice a year. In the summer, they would like spread it out so that it doesn't get moldy. In the winter, they would clump it together so that it doesn't lose its scent. When he's grinding it, he says these words: grind well, well ground. Divrei Abba Yosi ben Yochanan. This is the words of Abba Yosi ben Yochanan. Those three extra ones that the Kohen Gadol puts his hands in on Yom Kippur, you put them back into the mill on Erev Yom Kippur. You grind it well. That should be extra fine. No, that is a marcheshes, yeah. Marcheshes, right. Marcheshes is a grinder. Maybe it's that pestle.
Mortal and pestle.
It makes sense.
Okay, the Tanya was taught in the Bais
What do you say
Daka.
in davening kadei?
Yeah, this is what we said over here. Yeah. We'll discuss it in a moment when the Gemara says. This was taught in the Bais. Daka matam alayim. Why does the pasuk have to say that it's daka? Like Parnema v'shachachtem men hadik. You already said when you make the Kereisos that you make it fine. Matam alayim daka. So why by Yom Kippur it says that it's fine? Kadeshay daka min daka. It needs to be extra fine. Amar Mar. We learned before sheichik aimer. The one that's grinding it, he says kishu sheichik aimer. When he's grinding it, he says hativ hadik hadik. Grind well ground. Messiah Leila Rabbi Yochanan. This proves what Rabbi Yochanan says. Dam Rabbi Yochanan kshem shadibar rali yayin. Just like speech is bad for wine. Kenadibar yafal abasamim. Speech is good for spices.
That's why they always have them outside in the Arab market.
They would, because everyone's screaming. Yeah, the sound. I would assume what it means is that when they're doing this, there may be oxygen. I know is bad for the wine, right? It makes the wine go bad.
We learned that it was about the
That's
it was called hops. There's a story that says they opened it as if it's a whole story.
So the speech would make the wine go bad, but somehow that's good for the spices. So I remember saying this. I forget. Someone was telling me. He was a professor in the university. He says, no, that's not what it means. He says what it means is that the hadik hadik is like saying hop 2 3 4 hop 2 3. It's the rhythm that makes it go. But for here it's mashma. It's not the rhythm that does it. It's actual the voice that makes it. Rabbi Yochanan. They were much more sensitive to things than we are. The tastes and different things. Apparently they made a big deal about it. There are 11 spices that were said to Moshe. Amar Rav Huna Mikra, prove it. What's the pasuk? Kach l'chasamim, It says take spices, tray. Samim, spices means 2. Nataf, we're up to 3. Ushchelas v'chelbana is 4 and 5. Al-Chamisha, we have 5. V'samim, and then it says v'samim again, that's achrina. Another samim, that's chamisha, that's another 5. So, because we added all together. Now we're up to 10. Ha'asar, u'levayna zaka is chad, ha'chad shrei. We have 11. Ve'ima samim klal. Who said, what are you doing over here? You're adding this up like this. Maybe that's not what the pasuk is doing for us. Samim is we're going to do a klal prat klal. It's not telling us numbers. Samim is general. Not of shchelis chalbana is the prat, that's the detail. Samim is chazur klal. Klal prat klal. We have a regular rule of klal prat klal. How does that work? You have to done elakena prat. You're going to include everything that's similar to the detail. Ma prat meforish davar shekita v'ayler v'reichin. Just like the detail is something that you can smoke, and the smell goes up. Afkal davar shekita v'ayler v'reichin. The smell spreads out. The kita v'ayler, the smoke goes up, and the smell goes out. And if you're going to say im kein lichtev kra chad prata, if you're going to say, so why do we have 3 details? We didn't need the 3 details. It says lei, which one? Which one are you going to leave out? Mitzvah stricha, you need all of them. Because of natav. Maybe we should stop right here. Let me stop right here. We're up to. We'll start again from v'chitema. All right.
What? So kind of half an hour behind.
Rub it in.
I was just gonna say where. So last night I didn't know.
Rub it in.
You're all invited to